We've talked in the past about chemical changes and how a chemical change is something in which a new substance is made. And so now that we are able to name chemical compounds and write chemical formulas, we can start to put those together and see how they interact and which type of new substance, be able to predict which type of new substances are made. And that's what we're going to do in Chapter 10. So, first of all, what is a chemical reaction or a chemical change? Remember, new substances are made. So old compounds are broken up, the reactants are broken up, and the atoms get rearranged to form new substances. Whatever was there in the beginning has to be there in the end. The same substances or the same atoms are there before and after, because remember, conservation of mass says that matter cannot be created or destroyed. So if you have 5 hydrogen atoms and 10 oxygen atoms, you're going to have the same thing after the reaction. It's just that they may be in a different order or bonded differently. Okay, so bonding is what's changing between the elements. And remember that evidence for a chemical change may be things like bubbles or smoke, gas being released, heat and energy change, precipitates forming. Remember, we talked about precipitates. That's the forming of an insoluble solid. So that's what's happening when a chemical change or a chemical reaction takes place. So we can write chemical equations in order to represent what's going on. So in words, you would say iron and oxygen form rust. If we're going to symbolize that, you would write iron, the symbol for iron you have memorized is Fe. Oxygen, remember, is one of our diatomic elements that's going to become very important that you memorize or remember which are the diatomic elements. Okay, remember it's have no fear of ice cold beer is one way to remember it. Okay, so look up the diatomic elements and remember those. So oxygen is O2, and that yields rust, which the formula for rust is iron 3 oxide, so Fe2O3. And we call this a skeleton equation. And it's called a skeleton equation because it doesn't have equal amounts of the substances on both sides of the equation. So if you notice, there's 1 iron on the left of the arrow, but there's 2 irons on the right of the arrow. And they can't just come out of nowhere. So we have to what's called balance the equation. And that's what we're going to look at next. There are other things that you might see written in the equation. If you look down here at the bottom, you see an S and a G. That means the state of matter that they're in. So iron solid mixes with oxygen gas, yielding rust or iron 3 oxide, which is also a solid. If you see AQ right here, that stands for aqueous, and it means dissolved in water. Okay, so if something is dissolved in water, then it's aqueous. So if you have salt water, you would write NaCl AQ. Okay, so that would be sodium chloride in water, so that's salt water, sodium chloride aqueous. So let's take a look at what you have to do in order to balance an equation. And this is one of the most frustrating things. It can be really frustrating, and there's no real easy trick to it. I can show you how to do it, but there's really just a matter of having patience and sitting there until you can get the equation to balance. Okay? So we have to show the relative numbers of each element required in a compound. You have to make it equal on both sides. If we're looking at to get a general idea, we could look at a bicycle. Okay, so if we had a word equation for a bicycle, it might be the frame plus the wheel plus the handlebars plus the pedals equals a bike or yields a bike. So these would be the reactants, remember, over here. These are the products over here. So if we were to symbolize them, pretending that these are the chemical symbols, you might have something like this. Okay, this is not a balanced equation because over here we have only one W, but over here we have 2 W's. So in order to balance the equation, you have to use what are known as coefficients. Okay, and we've talked about coefficients before. It's a number that goes in front of something. Let's clear that out so we can see a little better. So on the left we have 1 frame, and on the right we have 1 frame. On the left we now have 2 wheels, and over here you can see we have 2 wheels, W2. Over here we have one set of handlebars. Over here we have one set of handlebars. And again, two pedals equals a bike. And there's two pedals over here on the right hand side. So now the equation is balanced. So it's the same with chemicals. Okay, carbon and oxygen yield carbon dioxide. So that's the word equation. This would be considered a skeleton equation, but it's also balanced. It also happens to be balanced. Some equations just work out that way. One oxygen on the left, two oxygens on the left, or sorry, one carbon on the left, two oxygens on the left, and on the right you have the same number. Okay, but remember our equation from earlier, the production of rust, iron and oxygen rusting, that's not a balanced equation because you have two irons on the right and only one iron on the left. So let's take a look at the steps to balance the equation. First, you have to make sure you have all the correct formulas. Okay, so you are going to write out the word. If they give you a word equation, you're going to write out all the correct formulas, count the number of each element, and write it down underneath the arrow. That's very important. Okay, count the number of each element and write it down underneath the arrow. And you're going to see me do this in the example in a minute. Balance using coefficients, so you make it equal on both sides. The number in front multiplies the entire substance by that number. If you don't need a coefficient or you don't put anything, that means 1. It doesn't mean 0. Okay? If you have elements that appear once, you should do those first. Then you have to make sure it's in the lowest possible ratio. For instance, if you get 2, 2, 2, 2, that could be reduced down to 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay? Always make sure it's in the lowest possible ratio, and you can never, ever, 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 ever change the subscripts. Okay? So Mother Nature, for instance, designed water to be H2O. If you need there to be 3 hydrogens, you can't just cross that out and make water H3O just to please yourself. Okay, so don't ever change the subscripts. You are not Mother Nature. You are not in charge. So let's do some practice. Okay? Hydrogen and oxygen react to form water. Write a balanced equation. So hydrogen, remember, is one of our diatomic elements. That would be H2. Oxygen is also diatomic. That would be O2. They react to form water. We know the formula for water is H2O. So let's write down our elements underneath. We have hydrogen and we have oxygen. On the left, I'm going to write how many I have of each substance. So on the left of the arrow, I have 2. So on the left of the H, I'm going to write 2. I also have 2 oxygens, so I'm going to write a 2 underneath that. On the right-hand side, we have 2 hydrogens, so I'm going to write a 2 on the right of the H, and we have 1 oxygen. So which one needs work? The oxygen clearly does. So in order to make there be 2 oxygens over here, I'm going to have to put a coefficient in front of the water of 2. So you now record everything that does. That makes there be 2 oxygens. 2 times 1 is 2. But it makes there be 4 hydrogens. So now I need to balance the hydrogens on the left-hand side. So if I put a 2 in front of this, now that makes 4 hydrogens. And so now you can see that the equation is balanced. All right, let's work on the second one. We're going to make a list underneath the arrow again. So we have in this equation, we have silver. If you read the tip, it says if you have polyatomic ions that are the same on both sides, treat them as one thing. And we do. We have nitrate on both sides. So I'm going to write down nitrate. We have hydrogen, and we have sulfur. Okay, so those are our 4 substances. Add up how many you have on each side. So we have 1 silver, 1 nitrate, 2 hydrogens, and 1 sulfur. On the right hand side we have 2 silvers, 1 sulfur, 1 hydrogen, and 1 nitrate. So now you just pick. There's no right way to do it. You just say, okay, well, I need more silvers, so I'm going to put a 2 in front of this one over here. So that makes 2 silvers, but that also makes 2 nitrates in this case. Okay, so now I need more nitrate on the right hand side, so I'm going to put a 2 here. So that makes 2 nitrates. Oh, and look at that. It also fixes our other problem and makes 2 hydrogens. Easy. So there's our balanced equation. Okay, everything is now balanced and equal on both sides. So another tip for you is if you have hydroxide on one side and you have water on the other side, you can write water as HOH, and that way you can use your polyatomic ion tip of having hydroxide on both sides of the equation. Okay, so let's try another one that uses that tip. Hydrochloric acid, HCl, and sodium hydroxide, NaOH, produce water and table salt. So water is H2O, but we're going to use our tip and write it as HOH so that we have OH on both sides. And table salt, sodium chloride, NaCl. Okay, so let's make a list. We have hydrogen, we have chlorine, we have sodium, we have hydroxide. On the left hand side, 1 hydrogen, 1 chlorine, 1 sodium, 1 hydroxide. On the right hand side, 1 hydrogen right here, 1 chlorine, 1 sodium, and 1 hydroxide. This one works out perfectly balanced, but that was a good way to check and see that your equation is balanced. In the next notes, we're going to look at the 5 types of chemical reactions, but in class tomorrow, we will practice balancing chemical equations.